So I guess what we're going to talk about first is why I'm talking about this, and how this discussion came into being. So first of all, the instigator for this on Twitter is this tweet. Or rather, no. Actually, the main instigator for this is the Doki Bird collab with a lot of other people. Rainbow. Yeah. TSB is what really broke this down recently, or what initiated this. I mean, fucking obviously, it's not. This is not what broke down the taboo, but this is what sparked up the conversation online. So this is it. This tweet by Band VT memes initiated this tweet, and then it got a lot of views, 400K views, massive, bro, with a caption saying, "Remember when pulling up a VTuber's past identity was seen as a crime and shit like that?" And then everybody gives off their take as to why that happened. Some disagreed with the PL, with has always disagreed with the PL rule. The status quo has changed, so that means we all have to change with it. Some still insist that that PL should be maintained and all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. And then we also have someone like Rima. We have Rima come into the mix, and also, oh shit, yeah, she retweeted my shit. Yep, poor girl. Rima retweeted this, saying having this take. Unless a talent explicitly hints or say they are uncomfortable with PLs looking for their past lives, keeping their PL as a taboo only protects the corporations they work instead of enabling them to have a cushion to fall back on in case of a termination/graduation. So she actually has the opposite of the usual opinions, because mostly a lot of people would actually make it so that instead of the talents explicitly saying they are uncomfortable with it, you only do it when the talents do say that they should do it. So it's kind of it's kind of reverse for what a lot of people say. And then we have Kyo say this shit. So like, are we able to just talk about PLs now, even if they're still in the same in the company? Seems like it. And again, this is not new. This has been happening for a while now. This happened during the Fowamoko thing, where everybody kind of knew that they were the Go-Go Nippon twins, among other things. So yeah, it was um it was a wild development that we've had over the years, because Voice ID also actively promotes the PLs of Twitter, of like VTubers. I also kind of promote the PLs of other VTubers. Yeah, because it's going to be different. So let's talk about this discussion first, okay? What is a PL, and what's the definition of a PL, basically? So PLs is the previous internet persona of a content creator, chat. Before they became a VTuber, before they joined an agency, they could be like a singer or a cover maker or voice actors or artists or actual VTubers, normal streamers. They could be fucking porn stars or shit posters if we want to push it. Generally speaking, PL means past life. So who someone used to be in the internet, what their previous persona is. And there's a differences between past life and personal life, because a lot of people mix these two things. The thing about the past life thing, chat, is that uh, past life don't equal personal life. Okay, past life doesn't necessarily include a lot of the person's personal information, like actual dangerous doxable information, like their real name, their email address, their phone number, among other things. So yeah, in fact, if we actually Google it, I actually made oh wait, no, dox meaning, because a lot of people also equate this to doxing, also does not equate to doxing. Because a lot of people a lot of people used to think that bringing up the past life of a person is doxing, but I think that actually hinders or like diminishes the impact of how hard doxing actually is, because from the definition that we have over here, search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Well, it turns out, well, not it turns out, everybody has kind of knew this, but PL information is not private information because they published it in the internet. The moment someone reveals information out to the internet and did not private it, they open it to the world. It's now public information. And what does identifying information mean? This means shit like their names, addresses, email address, phone numbers, among other things that could identify them, things that can get them identified in public. However, past lives actually often include a VTuber's face if they were a flesh tuber, and can include some other information if the person in their past life hasn't done proper OPSEC. It's understandable that people become VTubers, chat, because one reason that a lot of people become VTubers is that they don't have to show their faces. So generally, they don't have to wear makeup, they don't have to try and look good for the camera, and acting out as your OC is kind of cooler than having your mug out there. But generally speaking, from what I've observed in your past life, if you have shown your face as a content creator, you're fine with your face being out there. From the many VTubers that I've talked to, they are actually okay with their faces being out there. They don't care. That is if they that is if their face were already out there before they became a VTuber. And most fans, chat, hold on, I'm gonna write this down. Most fans and most VTubers don't care if their faces are out there. They really don't. Some fans are like, oh, hey, this is what they look like. This is what they look like IRL. Cool. And then most VTubers, again, if they are already, their face are already out there, they don't care too, especially the established ones. But that doesn't mean that some don't. Some do, okay? Because they might not be in their best eras at that time, but regardless what the VTuber thinks, a lot of fans do care. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unless they did some shady shit. Oh, we are going to be talking about that later, brother. Yeah. So, hold on. Before I continue, I'm going to read off a super chat. Martin DrawZD, thanks for the super chat. I agree with Rima. Unless the person says it's not okay, it's not taboo. We absolutely do not need to protect bad companies. Also have some pocket change. Thank you, Martin. Thanks you for the kindness. But yes. So, let's talk about why it's taboo. This is going to be an entire Depressed Nosagi video over here. So, first reason why it's taboo is obviously privacy. Hold on. Privacy. But here's the caveat, chat. This is a case-by-case basis. Because there are a lot of people out there like Calliope Mori that just doesn't care. But fans like to value their Oshi's privacy. Because the taboo has traditional Japanese roots, right? It has potentials to get some really wild and wacky individuals to do some weird things. Even dig further if the talent has done a poor job on their OPSEC before. And some people may try some weird stuff with that kind of information. Though honestly, though, I don't think PLs are necessarily the thing that's gonna cause weird fans to do some aberrant shit in the first place, brother. Like, I don't think stopping the discussion of PLs is necessarily a deterrent. But anyway, like for example, if a unicorn gets mad at their Oshi and finds their PLs, the PLs being known isn't going to stop that weirdo from hunting their Oshis done. Generally speaking, chat, if you're a content creator, weirdos and people trying to find you is already a given. That's a risk everybody in the internet takes. I don't like that it's a risk, but it is what it is. Depending on the kind of content you make, the risk is bigger than others. But PLs, I don't actually think, like PL discussions, I don't actually think increases the risk of that in any substantial way at all. So me personally, the whole PL thing, the whole PL discussion adding risk for some weirdos to harass the VTubers isn't a good defense for the taboo. Because people can and will find and harass VTubers regardless if their past life is being known or unknown, regardless if their PLs are being discussed publicly or not. It's not a VTuber PL exclusive thing. It's a content creator thing in general, is what I'm trying to say. And it comes with the price of being in the internet, in my opinion, especially when you're a content creator. I mean, fucking Amaranth, right? Like, girl had a guy from Europe abandon everything, going full scorched earth to stalk her. That happens regardless if you was a VTuber. I thought it's a well-known fact. No, Joey Wang. Unfortunately, no. Most people don't know that. Like again, generally speaking, the privacy aspect of the taboo generally comes from the fact if and only if the VTuber has doxable info on their PL. This is the only condition where it actually becomes dangerous, in my opinion. Yeah. And the second reason is basic respect slash and immersion. So, uh, some people chat, some people don't like it when their immersion of the character they play is broken. In fact, in Japan, that's how they typically consume their VTubers. And in moderate consumption, the immersion is actually a good thing. The immersion is part of the magic of VTubers. That's why it's so fun, right? Breaking that immersion for so many people is upsetting and rude. Not just to the fan base, but to the VTubers too, especially if there are some weirdos out there that decide to bring up PL topics in the VTubers' actual platform, like their Twitter or streams. That's like super rude, bro. I agree with actually, I can actually agree with that. It is actually kind of rude. It's rude to talk about PLs, especially on the VTubers platform or if in places where they generally frequent. Yeah. That's why PL Talk has always been a thing, but it's normally confined to their own individual safe spaces like 4chan or obscure websites and forums. But aside from that, don't be a dick. Respect your Oshis when they're there, Yeah. INZ913, thanks for the super chat. Most VTuber PL is easy just to find by Googling, right? It's actually why when you actually Google anything in like a certain VTubing face or past life will always be revealed. Let's say look at this. Mori Calliope, and then the face is literally the second thing, the second option. And even Demon Dice is the fourth option. It's so easy. It's so absolutely easy to find the PLs of literally every single established VTuber out there, chat. It's just that easy. And I think the ease of access is actually a factor as to why it is what it is. That only applies to big VTubers, I assume. Okay, yeah, generally speaking, if you're talking about number 3, yes, hold on, let me just, do you think it's beneficial for them or no? I'm going to talk about that, hold on. Number 3, it hurts the agency, the status quo, and people are afraid of the status quo being broken. Here's the thing. The past life activity of a VTuber actively harms the VTuber agency. Whether that be directly or indirectly, if the agency is dog shit, they could just rant and talk crap about the agency in their past life. There are also cases, especially in Hololive, like especially what's happening right now, Tihi, where they don't have, where some agencies that don't have an exclusivity clause, like Hololive, fuck Nijisanji, is that there can be collaborations with certain figures that the agency doesn't want them to collab with openly. Like right now, for example, Doki Bird is kind of a brand risk for Hololive. The talents collabing with her could mean to the corpo politics behind the scenes that Hololive is against Nijisanji and sides with Doki Bird. And that looks bad on Hololive in terms of corpo politics, chat? And while a lot of us have our opinions on that, I think it's understandable that corpos don't want to step on other corpos' feet for obvious reasons. I think we understand that, right? Understand that, right? I think it's not I think it's not I think it's not a cold take or a hot take to say that Doki Bird is a brand risk for agencies. It's really not. Yeah, like we understand that, but because Hololive doesn't seem to have an exclusivity clause, what the talents can do is just shit talk about Nijisanji on their PL accounts or collab with Doki Birds on their PL accounts and do what they want. As long as they don't mention or associate Hololive with their PL persona, then there's no problem. There's not going to be any issues, right? So this harms the agency while benefiting the talents because it means that the fan base will know and will have a portion of their fan base bleed over to their PL. The PL discussion chat takes away from the power the agency has over the talents. It could take away from some potential revenue too. Like me personally, I want to give my Niji and Oshis my money without giving that corpo a single cent, right? So if I decide to do that over on their PL, that actively harms the agency. If I talk about their PL and the PL gets traction and might even plant some ideas to the talents that they'll be secure career-wise if they leave Digisanji, that harms the agency. That's why exclusivity clauses and non-competes are so common in this industry, because they don't want that to happen. And the reason why I'm putting this in the taboo segment is because there are corpo bootlickers and agency fans in there that don't want this status quo to change, that don't want this to happen. How dare they hurt my favorite corpo and try to have a better life? How dare they break the tradition? How dare they be disrespectful to the taboo? How dare they not be loyal to the agency that gave them all these benefits? It's what happens. And this chat is a very, very convenient excuse to sweep terrible practices under the rug for most VTuber agencies. Sayu got punished for liking that one tweet where Niji sisters were shit talking her for making an edgy joke. Like, it's fucked up. Is that a cold take? I don't think that's a cold take, but I'm willing to hear other opinions. I'm willing to get my mind changed. Because generally speaking, that's where a lot of other people come in. And here's the fourth reason. Tradition. This is the fourth reason that I think it's taboo. How VTubing has worked before, and they'd rather stay that way. Some people don't have a good reason to not talk about PL discussion aside from it's the standard. Aside from the fact that these are the unspoken rules and it should be upheld, right? Like, talk to anybody about people. Like, we've established, right, that the PL taboo is only dangerous in privacy concerns if the VTuber has doxable information in their PL. Most VTubers don't have this. So if it doesn't, they still defend. A lot of people still defend not talking about not talking about PLs. And the reason why is because it's tradition. It's because that's how VTubing has always worked. Moving on, we're going to talk about what broke this taboo, right? Let's talk about why the PL taboo discussion is dead now. Why even some established accounts in Twitter or Reddit and other places are openly talking about the PLs of certain VTubers and nobody's batting an eye. And it's really only one reason. Drama. What broke that taboo was the drama. It really is. You know? This started well, I suppose it started back during the Nijisanji days on Zion. Zion and Yugo Asuna. I think these were the instigators of that. Yes. And after a lot of people were openly talking about Zion and Yusan so frequently on Twitter of all places, it kind of became common sense. Like, for some reason, every single person on Twitter is fine making that reference. It's fine talking about it because of the circumstances. It made it so that, at first it was like an exception. Talking about Zion PL was an exception because of this. Talking about Yusan's PL was an exception because of this. But the thing about exceptions, chat, is that when you go into exception territory, it kind of becomes a slippery slope. You start to excuse and make affirmations to yourselves as to why certain exceptions has to be expanded. It's a slippery slope. Eventually, anything can be considered an exception. Eventually, the exception becomes the norm. There's also the Russia drama that happened. And I think this was bigger in terms of breaking that taboo. But the Zion and Yugo drama was what really enforced it, in my opinion. And then we have the Mr. Kuro and Nina Matara transition. This was big too. Everybody started talking about the PLs of these VTubers openly, and nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck. It's actually weird. Hell, Mista even took it a step further, and Nina too, by the way. But like actually actively showing their faces. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's weird. And then we have, yeah. Someone in chat pointed it out. Henia, Ikami to Henia. When they started talking about this, that's when the taboo slowly started tearing down. When all of these happened, chat, suddenly every single one on Twitter was okay talking about their PLs. Suddenly every single one stopped talking about shit. False IDs started promoting the PLs of other VTubers, established creators, and some that actually had led a hand into my cancellation started talking about it too on Twitter. Suddenly, talking about Fuamoko was fine because of how wholesome their story was, and I didn't get canceled for that. Suddenly, all these kinds of things were happening, and then we have the Salen termination, obviously. And then now it is okay to talk about Pomu and Kyo's PLs. He's the amalgamation. Bro, forget about Kason. Well, no, the thing about Kason is that, I mean, we can have different opinions. It's just that me personally, I don't think Kason had any significant um hold on. I don't think laid a significant aid into the pivoting of this trend. Mm. I don't think she destroyed it. Are you kidding me? No, I'm unfortunately not kidding you, bro. I really do think it's these VTubers. Because back when Kason became a thing, back when Kason revealed herself and broke that taboo, it was still kind of a taboo. She didn't really affect that taboo in any significant way. Yeah. And the taboo really only broke now in 2023. How about the Aloe situation though? It's also different. Yep. Can you put Mika? Oh yeah, I can put Mika in here. I think everybody here knows who Mika is in Twitter, right? It should be fucking obvious because fucking if you follow Matara Khan, then it should be obvious. I don't need to spell it out for you. She started the cracks, did she? Hmm. Well, I guess I can, I guess I can I kind of agree with that, but at the same time I don't. But I'll play your hand, Kason. I'll allow her here just because she's my Yoshi. But normally I wouldn't, Is Kamigo going to V Shoujo? I don't think so. Oh yeah, actually yes, I think so. Doomslayer Dragon. Don't forget Coco Kason. And I did not. I genuinely just didn't think so. But if you guys think so, then it is what it is. Anyway, so with that in mind, let's talk about the pros and cons of PL discussion. And I think this is going to be just a tiny bit important. Makes the VTuber experience better. So here's the paradoxical thing. The pros of PL discussion actually includes making the VTuber experience better. You know, the thing, chat, is that a lot of people like to complain that the VTuber experience is better under the immersion when you don't know about who your VTuber and who your Oshis were behind the scenes or back then. But generally speaking, I actually have found from a lot of people that information of a VTuber's PL actually increases the experience. You know why? Because it adds context. Hold on. It adds context to the behavior of VTubers, also called lore. This lore. This makes a VTuber fan have a more an elevated experience for them as a content creator. When you know your VTuber's PLs, the things that they've went through, what happened that explains their current behaviors and actions, the inside jokes. Generally speaking, it becomes a lot more fun to a lot of people. Generally speaking, you can appreciate your VTubers more. You start to like it. You start to like, appreciate them better. Mm-hmm. But this is a double-edged sword. Here is why I want to add this. Double-edged sword. You know why, chat? Because if the PL has, let's say, something that you may disagree with, let's say the VTubers PL has a political, you know, the political a political opinion that you disagree with. Let's say they have made some stuff that you don't normally tolerate. That let's say they've said or done something that you don't want to align yourself with, that goes against your moral code. Then wait, yeah, actually, you know what? Yeah, this goes to the cons. That is one hell of a massive con. If they've said or published or did some damnable action on their PL, that's bad. It actually makes fucking the experience worse. That is why a lot of people would argue that you tend to or want to separate those things from your VTubers, because VTubers are supposed to be like a chill experience, and having your immersion or having your perception of that VTuber ruined because you actively sought out their PL, that's gonna be something that's gonna depend on you. That's why it's called forbidden knowledge, chat. It's a knowledge that could either fuck you up or elevate your experience. Like, the tree, the good, what's that called? The knowledge of the tree of apple of good and evil, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Second pro, insurance, chat. I mentioned this earlier, even on my other video, but if you decide to leave an agency, your fans can pull a Dokirian revolt and funnel viewers over your alt. If your agency happens to be a fucking terrible one, then you can just go onto your PL, funnel viewers from here on out. And there's actually a correlation to the amount of PL discussion a VTuber has before they leave the agency and the openness of their fan base about their PLs in regards to how successful their PL transition can get. Because generally speaking, from what I discovered, more PL activity, more PL discussion / knowledge during VTuber tenure equals more activity and more funneled viewers when you migrate. This is what I've discovered. And generally speaking, it's a good thing. It's a good thing just in case that you're a VTuber that wants to leave your VTuber agency. When you join a VTuber agency, chat, doesn't matter if it's Hololive, doesn't matter if it's doesn't matter if it's any small corpo, what you want to do is to always say that you are only on a hiatus. Never say that you're graduating on your PL. Say that you're on a hiatus. Okay? Say that you're on a hiatus. Because you never truly know when you are going to go back. I mean, look at what happened to V Reverie. But graduation stream get more attention and super chat. Yeah, that is a point. Actually, you know what? Yeah, that is the point. But if you want a more money going out, maybe do a graduation stream. Yeah, actually, you know what? No. You're right. You cooked. I actually changed my mind. Yeah, if you want more money, you want your going out stream to be explosive. Fucking do a graduation stream, whatever. Fuck the weight of graduations. Yeah, I'm. Let's be realistic. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Graduations should be sacred, at least IMO. Well, yeah, that's the thing. The more people when people ungraduate, the less sacredness graduations get. And you know what? It's only a matter of time. I also don't want people to just do this, but I understand if you want some money going out. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just saying that there are options, and these are your options. Mhm. Now, the cons of PL discussions, I've already talked about this. Um, but here's another a con. Parasocial fan bases slash uh expectations. Here's the thing, chat. This happens when your current fan base kind of half expects you to have the same kind of appeal, or to be completely like your old self. And it kind of applies more so to VTubers that were already big, and it's annoying because obviously that won't be the case. If you leave the environment that you were used to in your old agency, you kind of just not act the same anymore, especially if you left in difficult terms with your former agency or colleagues. Like Kason and Senzawa is, I think, the best examples for this. Do you guys have any idea how difficult and how annoying it must be that Kason keeps hearing shit like, quote unquote, Coco was better than Kason. I liked her. She was funnier and more creative. And then Gura has fans like, Senzawa was funnier. Senzawa was more based. Shit like that. That can be annoying, right? I think we generally disagree that that can be fucking annoying. And it can be very discouraging to a lot of the people. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right? That's like a thing. This number one actually is also like privacy, but we've talked about that in general. And chat, look, do you notice these two pros and these two cons? It's actually the same thing. The pros and the cons are two sides of the same coin. Cool, right? That's kind of cool, right? That is what's so interesting about the PL discussion, because it's such a complicated and nuanced topic where ultimately the right, the moral or the ethical or the objective right or truth of the PL discussion is that there is no objective truth. There is no objective moral right. It's in the case by case basis. That's why I like to talk about stuff like this, because it's more complicated than a lot of people think it is. It's not like a morally black discussion where it should not be talked about, but it's also not entirely a white discussion where it should be okay. It's a dilemma, and I love that aspect of it. Yeah. So now, because it's a because it's a morally gray area, and it's a more complicated topic about it's a complicated topic that not a lot of people like to admit it is. We are going to base this on current standards, current norms and standards. Currently, in our current standards right now, when is it okay to talk about PLs, and when is it not okay? So let's talk about the current from in our current norms and standards right now. When is it okay to talk about PLs, and when is it not okay? Well, generally speaking, chat. Generally speaking, from what I've observed, it is okay to talk about PLs when the VTuber has done some fucked up things that they should be called out for. DN believes in cancel culture. Lame. It's not that I don't. It's not that I do. Chat, I've said this before. Second chances are a thing, but it depends on the scale. It depends on the scale. If you are a fucking pedophile, if you are a fucking, rapist, grapist, if you were like a general nuisance, a menace to society, then no. This, but if it's light shit, if it is stuff like saying the N word like half a decade ago, or like other things, if it's like things like this, then no, I think you're fine. It depends on the scale of what you've done. Raito's out. Oh my god, yeah, Raito. Do you guys remember Raito? This was an example of that guy. This guy was terminated literally after he debuted because people found out in his PLs that he was like bad, like a bad guy. Like fucking said that in his PL that he wanted to join big VTuber agencies so he can prey on women or something like that. This is an example of this. Um anyway, number 2. When the VTuber gives their permission. But a lot of people also want makes it so that the reverse is true. When the VTuber doesn't tell you that to not do it. But yeah, generally speaking, I think both can be valid. If the VTuber gives the viewers permission to share their PL or even encourages to share their PL, then it's fine. But again, like what Rima said, um, unless a talent explicitly says or hints that they aren't comfortable with people looking for their past life, then yeah, it only protects the corporation. A lot of people also have this sentiment, which that's respectable. I think there are cases where this can be true. So yes, silence doesn't mean yes. It can be though. Silence can mean no or yes. But that's the thing. The thing is, chat, like I've said earlier, from what I've discovered and from the VTubers that I've talked to, it could be just a personal experience thing. Most VTubers actually don't care. Silence can mean yes, and silence can be no. So unless, generally speaking, if a VTuber has their firm stance on what is allowed or what they want people to do and what they want to do, unless the VTuber establishes that boundary, then it's free game. I think that's generally the sentiment of what people are trying to say. It can be both. It can go both ways. Generally speaking, I can agree with this, but though I don't necessarily think that this is my belief. You can have this belief. You can not have beliefs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you guys if VTubers want to give their permission or also if they don't want their permission. That's that's the complexity of this whole thing. I'm telling you guys, that's what I've told you earlier. Because of how gray, of how black and white, of how complex this topic is, ultimately a lot of things boil down to your subjective opinion. Yeah, it really does. So my take could be different from your take, but your take doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, and my take doesn't necessarily mean it's good either. And the opposite is true. Mm-hmm. Um, in places where wait, in places that aren't on the VTubers general platform slash vicinity. So obviously, what I told you guys earlier, you can't. Nobody can stop PL discussion. Nobody can stop PL discussion. So the best way, or rather, I think the most respectful and non-rude way that people can talk about PL discussion is in places that are not on the VTubers general platform, like their Twitter accounts or their YouTube channels. Like, maybe you can talk about it in your fucking obscure forum or in your obscure website or in your Discord server and all that kind of stuff. Out of sight, out of mind, something like that, I suppose. Yeah, generally speaking, that's how a lot of people do it. Unfortunately, the good thing, chat, is that a lot of people are actually generally respectful. They actually do. A lot of people in the VTuber scene actually understand this rule. To not be all weird about talking about their PLs when they are there. So, and again, I think it's something that everybody just kind of understands. When the VTuber is in a bad agency, I think, I think we can all agree that if a VTuber is in a bad agency, a Dokidian revolt is in order, right? I feel like this shouldn't be a take. This shouldn't be like a hot take. This should not be one of those gray area slash complex discussions or nuance. This is like, I think this is a good thing. I don't care what you think. This is a good thing. If the VTuber is in a bad agency, you should be able to talk about their PLs automatically. You should. I think it's a moral right. Yep. Yes. Yep. 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 Again, that's what I call it now, chat. What is a Dokidian revolt, you might ask? Dokidian revolt. Um, when the fans community of an agency funnels the viewers over to their PL slash incarnations. This is what a Dokidian revolt happens. And usually, the Dokidian revolt is initiated. Wait, I should. Yes, this is distinct. It's initiated by the fans and the mods and the community, because I'm pretty sure a lot of VTuber contracts make it so that you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to funnel viewers over. You're not allowed to funnel your agency viewers into your PL or incarnations. But if the fans do it, then there's no problem, because you're not doing anything. Even though you might, like, stay silent, you might, somewhat be cheeky about it. As long as you don't directly convince or direct people, then you're good to go. Fans aren't bound by their Oshis and DA. They're fine. Exactly. Exactly. So number 4 is fine. So, when is it not okay to talk about a VTuber's PL? One, talking about it on the VTuber's general platforms. So fucking obviously, the opposite of this, where generally speaking, you don't talk about the VTubers PL or vague post about it on their, like, live chat or on their Twitter accounts or comment over on things. You don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. Number 2, when the VTuber explicitly says not to, or implies, actually, or implies. Generally speaking, when a VTuber privates their Twitter account, or, signs of implications that they don't want to be found is when a VTuber privates their Twitter account, when a VTuber says something along the lines of respect my privacy, when a VTuber says something along the lines of, like all sorts of stuff that implies that they don't want to be found, then that's when I think you should not talk about it, or you shouldn't, like, bring it up in any areas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And again, generally speaking, from what I said, a lot of people are generally respectful of this rule. You know, from what I discovered, anyway, at least. And the third sign when it is not okay is if a VTuber has doxable info on their PL. Like, if they have their real name, if a VTuber has their real name or their email or their whatever on their PL, and they can't scrub it off the internet, maybe don't. Maybe don't. Like, again, identifiable information that could actually lead some people to, uh, you know, uh, get some dangerous stuff, because you can't scrub anything. Generally speaking, there are cases where it doesn't happen, but if you're a big figure, you can't scrub everything off the internet, especially if it's about you. Conclusion, chat. My conclusion is that the past life taboo is not dead yet. But the past life taboo will never be dead. Never, never be dead. Some people still get upset about it, especially the fans of Corpos. Like, it happens. It is what it is. And number 2, it won't completely die for as long as agency culture and traditionalists. Hold on, you can't see it. Yes, that's a thing. And then the other one, 3. Most people don't actually care and already knows the PLs of their favorite VTuber. And here's some key takeaways. 1. A VTuber. If you are a VTuber watching this right now, or if you intend to be a VTuber watching this, this is important. You need to take advantage to be aware of this. Of course, the standards will improve in the future, but for now, be informed. OPSEC. If you said or done some fucked up things in your PL, PFE, or ignore and wait, or ignore and prepare for the eventual discovery. Pray that your fan base are a bunch of schizos. DFE. Delete fucking everything. DFE means delete fucking everything. So here's the thing, chat. Why am I looking up for the bad apples? Why? Wait, no. Generally speaking, good OBSEC. If you're a VTuber right now and you have a past life that you don't want people to discover, or if you've said some, if you have information that is dangerous on your PL, update all of them. Change your numbers, your associated emails, maybe move if you can afford it. That's the that's something. As a VTuber, from the get-go, from the real get-go, OPSEC. What's OPSEC? OPSEC, operations security. This is a must, especially if you don't want to be found out. Or if you have said some fucked up or, said some or done some fucked up things. Generally speaking, if you're a VTuber that has something to hide, whether that be for good or bad reasons, fucking do as much as you can to mitigate it. Because it's not gonna, it's inevitable that some people are going to find it. It's only a matter of time. So you might as well prepare for that moment. You know? Because that's the internet, chat. That is the internet for you. And again, as a VTuber, oh wait, no. As a fan, talk about PLs if you want to in the appropriate platforms, not on the VTubers platforms. Don't be weird and don't be rude. What platforms then? Well, I mean, fucking. Okay, I'm gonna specify. 4chan, your private discords, anywhere that people won't find it easily or is far away from the general fan base slash VTubers themselves. Number three is important. You cannot silence or avoid PL talk in this industry. That you can only hope that people will be respectful about it. But again, most people are, from what I've seen. You cannot silence or avoid PL talk. You can only prepare for it. So generally speaking, you exercise this, you as long as you understand this fact, then and you make your, your precautions to make it so that it happens, then you're good. Number 4, if you as a VTuber, if you want fans to find you, give them the green light. Obviously, because a lot of people, again, from what I've seen, a lot of people are generally respectful when it comes to their PLs. But If you want them to find you, give them the green light, whether that be explicit or implicit. My take, chat, I've always had this opinion for a long time now. I think in the discussion of PLs as fine. Again, because it's always going to happen. It's kind of a thing where no matter what you do, there will always be talks, there will always be discussions. That sort of stuff will always be out there. It's only a matter of where that discussion is taking place and what we do with that information. As long as that information isn't used for malicious means, then it's fine. Of course, it will be used for malicious means. But that's everything in the internet. Information, like a tool, can be used for both good and bad things. There are instances where using that information, again, such as when the VTuber is in a bad agency or something like that, where that information can be a good thing, but there are also instances where it's a bad thing. And just because there are bad things that come from it doesn't mean that we should ignore it and ignore the good things too. There are pros and there are cons, like the ones that I've listed. Because the stray sand effect is a thing, chat. The more you try to suppress that information, the violently it spills out, the more it will surface. I mean, this is generally speaking, chat. This is my discussion on the PL talk. What do we, what do we think? I know I've had, chat. I know for a fact that I've said some bad takes that you may disagree with. But generally speaking, my takes are my takes. You know, I can have bad takes. You can have bad takes. We all have bad takes. Generally speaking, um, this is it. It's fine in EN more than JP. Cultural differences. Yeah, it's fine in Asian. No, not Asian. It's more sacred in the places where it originated from. Obviously, that's why I'm telling you. It's a tradition. It originated from Japanese idol culture roots.